Hi, it's Richard here from Intelligent Advisor IT Consulting with another in our series about the example decision services. This week we're going to be looking at the driver license example. You can find it in the online help, and the download is a direct JSON file, which you can see I've got in my browser here. And to load it into your Oracle Intelligent Advisor Hub, go to the Projects tab and go to Actions and Import, and pick up the JSON file that you just saved. Open it up, and let's take a look at the import dialog. Notice that now you can switch between any of the rule documents that may be present in the decision service. You have a pretty good rendering of how it's going to look once you import it. And on the left-hand side, we have the inputs, complete with their descriptions, the outputs, and also now the references. If you didn't know that decision services can reference other decision services, I can think you should go and read our article. You can also import this as a template. If you don't know what a decision service template is, again, then I suggest you go and have a look at one of our most recent articles. Let's go ahead and import this and take a look. So what does this decision service help us understand? Well, first of all, I want you to notice how clearly this is being laid out, complete with the headings and standard text to explain each of the items, and how each of the inputs and outputs has been fully documented here in our decision service. We can look at it as being broken down into several different parts. There are different kinds of driving license, known as a P1 and a P2 and a full license, each of which have their own eligibility criteria. So you can think of these rules as the substantive rules that describe whether someone is eligible or not for one or more of these licenses. They are nicely done with good use of grouping operators like all and the occasional negation with not. If we scroll down a little bit further, we'll come to whether you have passed your tests or not, the knowledge test, as well as the hazard perception test, and the driving test itself. As we scroll through the different driving tests, again, I can do nothing except compliment how this has been laid out really clearly, and we dive into other circumstances where, for example, you had your provisional license suspended, which means you have to wait longer before you can get your full license. So you'll notice that it talks about additional requirements due to suspensions and uses the add months function to add further months onto your probationary period. Then we'll come down to the fee structure. So when you actually want to get one of these licenses, depending on the type on the left-hand side and the term, the duration, and whether you have a good record or not, you will see various prices, and then you'll have the fees for taking the test. Finally, we get down to the interpretive rules, those rules that don't directly reflect the legislation, but help us interpret it in ways that makes it easier for us to write rules. So this is where you'll find things like whether you're aged over 25, whether you've had a driver's license for at least 12 months, and they all use different logical functions. Now let's move into live mode and test it out. So I'm going to type in a bunch of data here in live mode. As I begin to enter data in live mode, you'll start to see the read-only rules window on the right. The little icons start to light up, values start to appear in tooltips because the live mode lets us see the outcome of our different rules whilst looking at the rules themselves. So I'm just getting down to the test type that I want to take. I want to take a driving test. There we go. And you can see that immediately it selected the driving test row, and though I know that the price will be $59. So now I have pretty much a full set of input attributes entered here in live mode. Oh, I got a couple more. I need to have the term of the license. Have I got anything else here? I think I'm good. So we can see that live mode enables the developer to quickly see the values that have been rendered because of the different rules. And you can click on it and it'll tell you that this is activated. If it was created from a rule, it would point you to the rule and so on. You may be thinking, what actually can I learn from this decision service? And I'd say that the biggest thing you can learn is the way it's been written, using a clearly laid out document with lots of space, lots of headings, lots of comments, The rules themselves use excellent natural language to make it really easy to understand, and also it clearly defines what is a substantive rule that corresponds to the legislation and what is an interpretive rule, which basically interprets it in more detail, but doesn't directly relate to the legislation. So I think that's a really good thing. You can use this as a starting point. You can add more complexity, add more conditions, change the prices. It's all open for you. Don't forget to test it in JSON mode as well, just to be able to get used to playing with the URLs. Take care. See you next time.